Welcome, one and all, to Worlds Cooldown. I'm your host, the one and only Dracos. I didn't write that. They make me sound so arrogant when they write stuff like this. Joined by Lyric and Raz. That ... was a series ... I agree, whoever wrote that. That was a series. Maybe a little generous to call it that, I would say. It was certainly... It was a slaughter. It was a murder. I asked for a stock photo of a crime scene. We decided not to run it because I thought that would be a little disrespectful to HLE because sadly, this is the end of their tournament. But of course, for T1, this was absolute dominance.
Yeah, and I think just looking at HLE and the fact that they went through Worlds and had some great performances, at least they can look back on this journey and say the journey was great. The end result, fast and furious.
I mean, to be fair, right? Even a lot of people didn't have Hanwha making it out of groups. Obviously, Fnatic had a bit of a collapse, but still made it further than a lot of people thought. T1, on the other hand, it's really hard to focus on any one laner. It feels like T1 across the board just completely shut down Hanwha Life, especially in draft. I really have loved T1's read of the meta, and like their read of Hanwha Life especially was just immaculate today.
Yeah, and if this was 10 minutes faster, just 10 minutes faster, it would have been the fastest series in World's history. We had the stats team check on that one. But of course, it's not just those stats that paint a picture of T1 dominance. Stats across the board look so incredibly good for T1. If you're just showing up, there are not really a lot of words that we can use to tell you how one-sided the series was. If you watched it, you know. You got this, Raz?
You know, Lyric came up, I agree with the draft difference. There was a bot difference. There was a top difference.
Sure.
No, Jacobs, you missed it. Raz had the best advice for Hanwha during the series. Just play better. They just needed to play better, Raz said. It's that simple.
Because the saddest thing is, even if they had changed their draft to be a lot more based on the meta or like try and go for scaling, the reality was they were failing at what their comp was trying to achieve. And if you're just doing, if you're just like, hey, we have a great level 6 skirmish comp, we're gonna be relentless around Heralds, and we ain't winning those, we got a problem.
I mean, it's brutal. 43 kills to 9, 61.8% of T1's time spent in a major lead. Hanwha Life Esports never had a major lead at any point.
That's fair.
You get a first blood.
Yeah.
You know, you can get a major lead for like 30 seconds. It's really hard to get 0.
Especially when, again, you're drafting LeBlanc, you're drafting Renekton, you're taking the Varus, you're bringing out the Olaf. So, yeah, again, it was really rough for Hanwha. I think you could tell some of their players probably had nerves. I think Willer looked much worse today than he did in the group stage, sadly. And just very limited by, I'd say, an understanding of what their team's good at, right? Sure, we're kind of hating on their drafts, but at the same time, they at least kept picking champions their players are proficient on.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing is that we saw, and this was the best of 5 that I think a lot of people watched when you're looking at Hanwha Life coming in, was the T1 versus Hanwha best of 5, where they were obliterated on the top side of the map. Morgan had a very, very difficult best of 5. And the thing that you're always kind of looking at when it comes to Worlds, the time between Worlds, the time in the group stage, and in play-ins, in the case of Hanwha, how much better can they get? And the thing is T1 look even better than they did domestically. And while Hanwha also look better, it feels like T1 have improved even faster, just making that gap that much wider.
Very true. I also fall victim into the whole catch-up effect, looking at the teams that have so much more room to grow on and say, okay, well, they're making up the difference, when in reality, T1's just refining. they're refining what they're already great at. Keria had a monster performance today, you know, finding advantages and working with FLICKR. And there was like, that was that one thing that they're already really great at. And then the skirmishes and team fights, what I would have expected to be closer, were just not. So that was, for me, the takeaway.
I also feel like just T1 in general, right? They have to be viewed as them versus Damwon decides who the favorite is. Assuming Damwon beat Mad, you never know. G2, again, 2 years ago.
Thank you, sir. Make sure you put that caveat with me here.
You never know.
Give that respect.
Has to be done. But, you know, again, everyone's looking at Damwon right now as the favorites. But I feel like T1 has to be in that conversation as well.
And I think it would be absolutely massive on the side of T1 if the amount of growth that they've shown here was enough now to contest Damwon. Because Damwon feel like the big bad. Domestically in the LCK, and now also Worlds, the 6-0 team in groups, the incredibly commanding playoffs run that they had. So has the question I think we're all going to be asking as we head later and later into this bracket stage is, has there been enough growth from the side of T1 to actually finally contest this team so they're not just the raffle stomp kings of the LCK where no one really posed a major threat?
I think so. And I think that the key goes into the younger players on the lineup, where not so much Gumayushi. I think Gumayushi's just been damn good regardless on the pick that he's on. But for me, it's Owner and Kana. And domestically, when I was watching throughout full spring and summer, of course, they were making a lot of changes. And it would be, if Kana was behind, he would stay behind, and and a lot of the issues would just be on the consistency there. But I don't see that at all. I didn't see that near the end of summer, and I certainly don't see that in his Worlds performances. So I think that their best players are becoming Kana and Owner.
And I think this is so incredible because when we talked about tournament favorites, I don't think T1 were on that list.
No.
You're looking at EDG, you're looking at Damwon. It's kind of maybe the lone LCK favorite. It was looking like another year where we potentially see LPL domination, but with the collapse of FPX, with how incredibly good T1's group stage is looking, I feel like you can't ever call them a dark horse because they're T1, but to go from a team that was kind of, well, they're here, they're T1, they've got FLICKR, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, to a team that's very clearly now in the running, I think is such an incredible feat.
Yeah, and I definitely agree they weren't in anyone's top 5. It seems like there was a pretty agreed upon top 5 of like, there's Damwon, there's the top 3 LCK teams, and LPL teams, I'm sorry, and there's Mad Lions. Like, most people had one of those teams winning the tournament.
Yep.
And T1 just come out of nowhere. And again, they've just looked better and better. And they were in a group with EDG. They completely dismantled them in that second game. Hanwha, again, not too many people had high expectations for them. But the fact that Hanwha put up a fight against RNG and T1 just completely dismantled them as well is, I think, very scary. T1 are another team that came out of scrims where a lot of teams were terrified of them, going further in this tournament. And it seems like it's true.
Well, Rez, I have to cut you off there because we are ready now to hear from the man himself, the man of victory. 3-0 King. It is FLICKR standing by with Shocks in Iceland.
Thank you very much, Dracos. I'm very happy to be joined here by FLICKR after T1 wins their quarterfinal over Hanwha Live. Now, it was an incredibly impressive performance from the side of T1. So I have to ask, it looks like T1 has just improved day after day here at the World Championship. How do you reflect on the growth of the team so far?
네, 우선 승리 너무 축하드립니다. 정말 인상 깊고 압도적인 그런 경기력을 선보여 주셨는데요. 이번 월즈에 오신 후로 매일같이 계속 발전하는 진보적인 모습을 보여주고 계십니다. 지금 팀의 성장에 대해서 어떻게 생각하시나요?
일단은 저희는 항상 상대팀을 보고 배우고 있고, 그리고 또 이제 선수들이 노력도 굉장히 많이 하기 때문에 좋은 결과가 갈수록 많이 생겨나는 것 같습니다.
First off, we always focus on our opponent. We try to learn from them, and also all the individual players are doing their best to improve. So we were able to make such a great growth.
It was really impressive, and I have to say, Worlds really isn't the same if you and T1 aren't there. So I have to ask, in terms of yourself as a player, how different is the FLICKR of this year, of 2021? Now that you unfortunately missed last year and we get to see you, it looks like, in a top performance so far.
네, 우선 항상 월즈에 페이커 선수나 T1이 없으면 이제 원래 알던 월즈 같지 않은 그런 느낌이 있습니다. 그런 만큼 이번에 페이커 선수 함께 할 수 있어서 너무 좋은데요. 그러면 지금 경기력이 정말 최상급의 경기력이 나오고 있는 것 같은데 지난번 월즈 참여했을 때랑 비교했을 때 어떤가요?
일단 올해 같은 경우에는 선수들도 굉장히 패기가 있고, 그리고 경기 플레이 스타일 자체도 많이 바뀌었기 때문에 이전 경기들과 좀 이전 월즈들과 다르게 조금 더 재밌는 경기를 보실 수 있을 거라고 생각하고 있고, 그리고 저희도 이제 저 개인적으로도 이제 좀 올해는 정말 열심히 노력해서 우승해야겠다라고 각오를 했기 때문에 더 열심히 하고 있습니다.
So first off, I think we are having a lot of more young spirit in my team, and our play style changed a little bit. So I think it's going to be a lot more interesting, exciting to watch us perform. And me as an individual, I also worked so hard for this Worlds, and I have a very determined mindset for this Worlds. I really want to win, so yeah, I'm doing my best right now.
And we can see it so far for sure. And now let's talk about your next opponent. I hope I don't anger the European fans here, but Damwon are the big favorites to make it to the semifinals. You, of course, have recently played them in the finals in the LCK. With your form right now, how do you think you would match up versus Damwon?
네, 그러면 4강에 대한 예상도 좀 궁금합니다. 아무래도 담원 기아 자체가 좀 승자로 많이 점쳐지는 그런 상황인데 그렇게 되면 이제 결승전 리매치가 될 예정인데요. 지금의 이런 폼과 함께라면 담원과의 리매치 어떻게 예상하시나요?
사실 지난 결승전 때도 굉장히 좀 마인드 컨트롤이 잘 안 됐어가지고 패배를 했다고 저는 생각을 했거든요. 그래서 그런 부분에서 저희가 좀 더 긴장을 안 하고 충분히 잘 마인드 컨트롤 한다면 이길 수 있을 거라고 생각합니다.
I think the biggest problem in the previous finals was actually controlling our mindset, controlling the having the presence of mind. So if we get to be better at it, if we can keep the calm and poised mindset, I think we will be able to perform even better.
maybe even pick up the rune present of mine. We'll see indeed. Thank you so much, FLICKR. It was lovely talking to you. Kamsahamnida, and thank you for the translation as well. And we're heading back to cooldown for Dracos to close things out.
Wow. Love to hear it.
There it is. I was concerned for a second. I thought when you were saying mind control, I was like,
all thought the same thing.
Yeah, I was like, let's see if they can make mistakes.
Control their mindset.
There we go.
As we learn from
Understand. I love it.
We're not being mind controlled by down one. We don't need any of that conspiracy theory coming out. Obviously, fantastic day. Like, you can look ahead to that series. We'll see what happens between Mad Lions and Dom one a little bit later. But tomorrow, the series that we immediately need to focus on is none other than RNG versus EDG. There's a lot of old spirit here. You know, FLICKR's talking about that young spirit on his team. There's a lot of old spirit here. And I've got old LPL caster, current LPL caster. So let's talk about this one a little bit. What are the initial thoughts?
You know, this one actually is the matchup I look at the most. And I'm like, I honestly have no idea which way it'll go. I think these two teams play so differently. We didn't get to see this in LPL playoffs because RNG sadly got eliminated after one series where they massively underperformed. But the last time they did play in the regular season, RNG 2-0'd them. So it's like a weird dynamic of, well, Scout's definitely better than Cryin. They probably two best spot lanes in the LPL, but one team is Xiaohu, and Xiaohu's the best. And yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn.
And for me, my favorite finals have always been the RNG EDG finals, because that's where the fans are the loudest, like, and are definitely behind their teams, right? So of course, you know, COVID situation, it's sad that like, you know, we can't get that here, but I can hear them at home already. And so like, it's just a rivalry that has been going on for a very long time with, of course, new faces now. So I'm interested to see what Team Xiaohu and Ming versus Team Mako.
Team Mako and Scout, Xiaohu and Ming, yeah.
What they can get done.
I mean, I like this. I'm glad that neither one of you are coming out with like clear 100% favorites, because today we had clear 100% favorites, and it was, while it is obviously T1 being fantastic, and it is a little sad to see HLE go, I like best of fives. It's the bracket stage so we can get, it's a best of five so we get 5 games, not so we get 3. That is my request.
At least 4.
To any teams watching. Not that that's exactly how it works. You don't just get to decide how many games there are. But before we step away, let's take a look at a little further ahead to see what's on the horizon for Worlds 2021 quarterfinals. Of course, T1 expected to go up against Damwon Kia, but looking at the opposite side of the bracket, is anyone in the West making it to semis, boys? That's what I got to know right now.
Whoa. He was selling horses today.
A lot of horses. The darker horses, of course, the dark horses. That's why I look at the pitch black horse in Cloud 9, saying there's a chance. There's a chance, Dracos.
Did you really just set me up to say there's a chance?
There's a chance.
There's a chance. The darkest horse there is ever. There's a sliver of hope.
The problem is when it comes down to it is I don't know if it's my heart talking or my head. All right.
Yeah.
My heart's getting too large when it comes to talking about this.
You've been compromised.
A little bit. I know that. Look, I know that Gen.G. Look, they're the weakest Seed 1 team, but they're still a Seed 1 team. Damn it, and that's what matters. So I'm gonna look to that series. I'm not gonna give a definitive prediction yet.
Lyric, you are.
I'll give a definitive.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, you're American, but I feel like you have a clearer head than both of us.
I'll even
Don't say it.
I'll even go. I won't say 3-0.
You're from Arizona, all right?
I won't say 3-0. 3-1 Gen.G, though.
Oh, my God.
I'm going in.
Look, I'm not going to dox you. I'm just saying there might be some Americans that ain't happy with that prediction.
Look. Gen.G might not be the best of 5 team as shown in the past.
Okay.
But at the same time, Cloud9 has had some crazy. I don't even know how to describe it. The TPs, the red buffs, the tower executes.
Especially when Gen.G took down Team Liquid in the most BDD of ways, just demolishing them. I think that's the rational call here.
Yeah. It's hard to argue with the rational call. While Cloud9 did have a fantastic run out of groups in Mad Lions, obviously hopeful to see a lot from them. We'll just kind of have to see what the West can do. Maybe Lyric will be able to get through talking about the team without laughing by the end of the best of 5. And maybe that's the least I can hope for, but we'll find out at the end of the day, though. That's all for us today. We're going to see you tomorrow for more Worlds 2021 action. Come back. LPL versus LPL. It's going to be great.
Luckily, I'm not on the desk that day.
There we go.
Welcome back to Worlds 2021, taking place in Reykjavik, Iceland. Hanwha Life arrives at the arena and continues the hero's journey, going toe-to-toe with some of the league's biggest legends in T1.
I'm very excited for this best of 5, I gotta tell you guys.
It's a showdown between one of the greatest of all time and the one gunning for his throne. FLICKR versus Chovy.
T1 wanting to grab that is now Vista looking to come round once again. There's the ulti to come through for Morgan. Only one person can take that lantern, and now Canna could be in trouble. He's down so low and trying to get the damage out as Deft finishes him off in the end. Morgan likely to fall as well. It's 2 for 1 so far for T1. Poppy locks down the Baron. Now can they win the fight though, as they immediately just run over Chovy, and with Chovy dead there is nothing left. It's a triple kill for Gumayusi, and Deft finds himself alone. I think this is the end for Hanwha Life Esports in game number 2. As Deft not going to be able to cleanse again, and that's going to be the ace given over. T1. Do Hanwha have any other answers? I mean, is this Varus actually going to do something this game? That's what we need to see. Gravitum comes on out. Chains of Corruption are going to be the answer, so that means Hanwha should be able to get Shirley, but the Moonlight Vigil comes down. That's stolen away though. Owner actually diving forward. FLICKR using his ult to make sure no one can get out. T1 3-0 Hanwha Life Esports.
It all leads to this. Make or break.
Vitality will take them!
A new era is waiting.